Oh my God, I've been on mute. Ooh, ooh. Welcome on in, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I was on mute just talking away. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So, this is JCZ Craft Vlogs and More, where we do crafting, vlogging, and gardening, and so much more. And I'm also going to be having hot topics or topics such as these that is important for us to succeed in life, grow. And I chose the most amazing co-host up here, my guest. This is the first of many to come. Marlene Motivate. She is such a beautiful, well-rounded, God-fearing, loving woman. Okay. And I'm excited to have her here. So welcome, Marlene. Thank you so much for collaborating with me. I appreciate you so much. So if you want to introduce, I gave you a introduction, but not like fully. But I know she has many channels, and one thing she does is what her name says, and that is motivate, inspire, and definitely make you think about the goals in the
Okay.
mindset of becoming stronger. Can you hear me?
I don't know. It looks like I'm buffering right now.
Oh, it doesn't look buffering on my end. Is it buffering for you guys? Welcome on in
I
Lions
hear.
Pride.
I see your avatar moving, but I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hmm. Hold on, y'all. I don't know what happened. Marlene can't hear me. Can y'all hear Marlene? I can hear Marlene. Hey, Foot Soldier. Hey, T Daniels. Hey, TC. Lions Pride. Can y'all hear Marlene down in the chat? Hey, Sassy. Okay, the chat can hear us. I can hear you, Marlene. Let me see. I'm a drop out. How can I don't know how to do that up here. Okay, Marlene dropped and then she's going to come back. Marlene's come, but while she's when Marlene's, I'm waiting for Marlene to come back. So, just the topic for tonight, we will be talking about personal growth, and I think this is a great topic to get started anywhere of succeeding, becoming successful, and also overcoming obstacles and different things in our lives. So, I I think this is a great place to start when we start thinking about personal growth. Hold on. Let me bring Marlene back and let's see. Marlene?
Yes, I hear you now perfectly.
Oh, yay! Welcome back. Welcome back. I gave him a little introduction about what you do. And like I said, you are truly a motivational channel for me to watch. You know, I enjoy watching all of your shows. So I'm going to turn it over for you and let us know where we could find you. No, tell me a little bit about your channel and yourself and how you got started in YouTube.
Oh, it keeps. I don't know. I'm having a storm in my area, so you keep coming in and out. So, I'm going
Uh oh, I think I lost her.
to
Marlene?
motivate. I have
Uh-oh. Oh, I pray all is well, Marlene. Oh my goodness. Prayers that everything that you are safe. Okay. Here. Okay.
I don't know, Jill. It keeps kicking
Okay.
me out.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps kicking me out, but So, hi everybody. I'm Marlene Motivates. My channel is all about motivation. As you can tell by the name of the channel, I am a life coach and I share my experiences about mindset shifting, positivity, and working on your inner child. That's something that's really important to me because I didn't grow up with a positive environment. I didn't grow up, having good communication and healthy relationships. So I worked on me and I like to share the things that I have learned with others. So that's what this channel is all about. Marlene Motivates. And then I have four other channels. I have a relaxation channel, Just Relax Now. I have a podcast channel, which is mainly about interviews and things, and that's Marlene Saunders Show. And I have a vlog channel, which is Life with Marlene. And I have a channel that I really talk about my darker subjects, like, the trauma healing, all of those subjects that people don't really talk about. And that one is Love Marlene 411. So those are my channels.
Thank you. Thank you. And how long have you been on YouTube?
I have been on YouTube. Well, I joined YouTube back in 2007 as just a supporter, a viewer. But it wasn't until around, I would say, 2013, about that I started becoming a content creator.
Okay, awesome, awesome, amazing. Guys, I put Marlene's channel's link in the chat. Please check her out, visit her channel. I'm telling you, you will be inspired and definitely motivated and truly enjoy. I do enjoy it. And she speak of all walks of life, personal, she talk about personal things. She talk about ways to get through, how she got through. And this is something that I thought would be a great topic, which is personal growth, because personal growth is so important in our lives and for us to get through things, right? So Marlene, what when you think about um the topic personal growth, right? What comes to your mind? What comes to your mind when you think of personal growth?
For me, I feel like it really focuses and centers on becoming a better version of yourself, because I believe the majority of the population does not tap into their personal best or being their personal best because of so many issues, childhood trauma, bad relationships, low self esteem. There's a lot of things involved that can cause us to not have the best and grow into our best self. So, us taking a focus on our personal growth and really getting to know who we want to be and allowing ourselves to be that. And I like to talk about that on this channel, that sometimes there's a lot of roadblocks that come in the way of our being able to develop into our best self, because there are hindrances, there are distractions, there are drama people. I could go on about this for a
Yes.
very long time.
Oh, yes. This is why I thought that the topic, because when you think about personal growth, right, it's a continuous journey. So it is something that you are adjusting, learning experiences, because they all tie in, right? So, growth comes from your experiences, your journey, your skills, your social. environment, like all of those are attached when you think about personal growth. So you are consistency con- sorry, constantly growing and learning different things, people, places, in programs and all of that. So it helps us look at things differently. And like you said, our way we grew up, I always say if you don't like something, change it, right? If you don't like the way something feels, you need to move around, you need to adjust, you need to change and make a difference, do something different. And I thought because we are content YouTubers, content creators, we come in contact with all different personalities and socializing with all different groups of people, whether it is, ethnicity, black, white, um, Asian, whatever it is, whatever their cultural, race is, and also the attitudes, the behavioral aspect of it. That's why I feel like this is so important if you're not willing to learn, right? Because depending on what you're watching or the people you are around, sometimes if you're not already shaped and aware of certain things, it can become a shocker to you, right?
Yeah,
And you can pick up certain habits or, come into situations where you have faced that you never faced before. And how do you deal with them, right? So that's growth. How do you handle those? You know?
yeah, that's one of the things that I think that's why I'm so adamant about, learning and growing and becoming a better version of myself, because I don't really think that it's not everybody's fault, because some people just are that way because it's generations and generations of being broken and feeling that you're hopeless, or feeling years and years of having zero self-esteem, and nobody has ever said that it's okay to learn, it's okay to grow, it's okay to do something different and be healthy, and you don't have to keep the same toxic behaviors that cause generations of brokenness. Somebody can break the chains.
Absolutely. I talk about this all the time and I say, sometimes we look and say, you should know better than that. Maybe they don't. I honestly believe, have you ever, it's just like school systems. Every school system is not the same. Some are slower than others, some are advanced than others, some are stricter than others, and some have more programs than others, right? And it's all in the area. So there is supposed to be a structure, schooling system, but I've came into contact when I had my children. I learned the school systems, depending on the state and the location, um, and in the demographics, right?
Yeah.
All of those are so differently of how they deal and approach with teaching what needs to be taught to the children. So you can't assume everyone is on the same growth level or learning um level, right? Then you have some like me, I did with my children. I didn't stop at school. When they came home from school, we had home lessons because there are certain things that the school system just doesn't teach our children. And especially when it comes to um the black race, right?
Mhm.
We get shunned, our children get shunned to know some amazing people who has invented things and the real damage that happened during the whole slavery and all those pieces, sometimes those things wasn't discussed in homes. So we lack a certain knowledge in history background that others don't lack, and it depends. And so when we're all coming together, you know what I mean? When we all coming together, you think someone knows something and that they should know, but they really honestly just don't know.
Hmm. And that's one of the things that I always talk about when I do coaching sessions with somebody. I never make an assumption of, thinking that, oh, this is something that widely known. Never assume that somebody, just because you're looking at an adult, is something I learned when I went through therapy, is that a person can be 18, 21 years and up, but that does not mean that they have ever developed in their emotional growth, that they've ever been given the opportunity to be celebrated. There's a lot of people that they've never even got a hug. They've never been told that they're enough. They've never been supported and loved. And this is the reason why there's so many people who are broken, and then I don't want to say they ruin kids' lives, but then another generation, and they become the parent, and because they haven't healed their inner child, now their kids is another generation of brokenness. So somebody throughout the generation is going to have to say, well, I was told the things that I was said. I'm going to have to be the one to make a new narrative of what I want my life to be.
Absolutely. And when I start getting more into depth of it, you think about self-awareness and, you know, um, self-understanding, behavioral, like I said, and attitudinal changes. The things that we were talking about, things that is really, really important to really come in touch, you know, um, come in touch with, and to really think about, and to make sure that we're not pouring out our, you know, um, unfortunes and disgruntled behaviors on others, right? I
Hmm.
mean, there is so many ways, and sometimes at certain points in life we can't make excuses. Like you said, we can't blame anyone else at a certain age, because you have to want to grow.
Yes.
And you have to know, because I think at a certain age bracket, once you come out of the and child raising zone, and once you go out and socialize with others, you see how others behave, you see how things life you see how life is supposed to make you feel um good inside, not terrible and seem like you're lost all the time. What I want to say is that, when is the light switch going to click on for you? You can't go around blaming your upbringing on your behavior your entire life. There is some point in life that you become aware and of your surroundings, your environment, your behaviors, different things, because these things, your personal growth, is supposed to help you lead into a more fulfilling and successful life. And you can't think that that it's okay to I don't think poverty okay, but yes, it exists. You should have some kind of yearning to want to, you know, offset, come out of poverty, right? You shouldn't be settled for just little things. Or if you are feeling attacked, and you feel like it's not okay for you to just attack others, right? Because you know that that's not how you was born. You were, or I mean, you when you would raise, if you were, that that wasn't a good feeling. So
Hmm.
change behavior.
And one of the things that I'm grateful for, like I smile these days because I see my little nieces and nephews and cousins, because I can't just say me, but in my family, I was the one that broke the mold and got therapy and started talking about, like, that's not a good behavior. Like we shouldn't be communicating by screaming at each other. If you can't do so in a calm and a respectful manner, you need to take a break and then relax and then have a conversation. It shouldn't be screaming or ghosting. And I can't say it's just all me, because it takes the rest of your relatives to be on board and say, you know what, that's not right. Somebody has to step up and be the change maker, the one that says, let's heal this generational brokenness, and let's develop into better women and better men and be role models. And when I was growing up, I didn't have that. It was just like children were seen and not heard. Your parents said whatever
Yes.
they could, cuss you out or whatever, but you couldn't cuss them out. So
Right.
I like that. Now I have nieces and nephews that even when I'm wrong, I tell them, check me
Mm,
if I'm wrong, check me. And that's not something that before, if your parent or whatever adult was wrong, they never would take accountability. It was just like, I'm an adult, you're a child, like you can do no wrong, and that's not right. That's a double standard.
I agree. I did grow up in that era too, where I can express, but only it was very limited. Okay, it was not. I didn't have too much wiggle room, but I did have some. And I a little bit, just a little bit. But you're right. The seen, not heard. Listen, I could get into it. Yeah, the talking um disrespectfully to the children, all of that, those experience. Listen, when I tell you that those can really affect you bad, and you look at people differently, right? Because you grow up on defense.
Mhm.
Everything is a defense. And that's tiring when you walk around feeling like you constantly have to be on defense mode. Um and have to defend yourself. Like no one should have to live life walking like that. And I think I felt like that a lot of the time. You know what I mean? It feel on defense mode, especially when you that's why it's so important to surround yourself around some, the people you surround yourself around as well. Because when you're around good people, you're not so much
Yep.
feeling like you need to box up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Being stance all the time. You're not judging what they're thinking. You don't think that everything they do is bad intentions. That's look, I could get in, that's a whole nother book,
Mm.
okay? Where I feel like, and that's because of some of the things that happened and while I was growing up, and I feel like I'm always, on T. I don't want to accept nothing from anybody. There's always some type of like, I don't want nobody to ever say that I asked for anything, because that's how I was raised. You don't dare ask the neighbor. You don't dare ask anybody. Don't, it was kind of like those things. And I grew up with that, which is a good thing, but then it can also, you can also block your blessings. You know what I mean? As well. And it's uncomfortable until I had some, people who really loved me and really was like, I was like, I wish they would have said that earlier in life. But after like 15, 20 years, they like, you know what? I don't feel good. And that don't make me feel comfortable. And I really don't like it, because it's kind of like, and I didn't know that I was making them feel that way. That, like, oh, you too good. Like you can always give, but then, you don't want to accept anything. It could just be a nice suggestion. It doesn't even have to be money, but a gift. And it's always like, oh no, 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 don't give me this, don't do that. And they're like, but you do for everybody else. Why can't I do for you? Like they were like, it's like insulting a little bit. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yes, Jill, me too. I come from, a Caribbean background. Both of my parents were Jamaican, and the half of my siblings are Jamaican, and it's what that thing, that ego thing, don't let anybody know your personal business. Don't let anybody, into your world. You got to handle your own. And I do understand what you're saying about, yes, for the most part, you do need to be independent and you do need to take care of yourself, but everybody needs people to lean on. Everybody
Yeah,
once in a while needs a helping hand. And I remember, like, when I first grew up and was on my own, like, I mean, literally struggling, don't have food to eat, don't have things that I need. And all I had to do is go out in my community and say, hey, I need some help. But I refused to do that because of how I grew up.
same,
Yeah.
same. And that's bad. It's not a good thing, because you do have some great people. It's good to have boundaries. It's good to, not to be dependent, but it's also good to know that you don't have to struggle by
Hmm.
yourself. You don't have to. And that was a hard thing for me, and that was a bad teaching, because that's basically what how I raised my children. And that's not good,
Yeah.
because then it's like, don't be ashamed. And that's why a lot of people suffer. I like Lions Pride said, my parents was like that. But when they were wrong about something, they acknowledged it. We did have to stay out of adults' conversation and business, though. Well, no, my opinion, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't. I have to say, I really got apologies,
What?
and
You got
then
apologies, Jill? I don't,
no,
please. I didn't get nothing. I didn't get nothing.
no.
Mm-mm.
I did not get apologies, and I just and I think I don't remember too many acknowledgement. It was more like saying, "Oh, well, anyway,"
Yeah.
or "Oops." I don't know,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like a more like, I'm sorry. Yes, that is my fault." It was kind of like we've been moved on with life.
Mhm.
I didn't experience that part. It was like, oops.
Yeah.
um,
And that
okay. And then
and
it'll
that's
come up with, well, maybe you shouldn't have been doing this. And I wouldn't have thought that. It was more like that.
and, and
Hey, Vibrant.
and that's one of the things, Jill, that I had to learn, as I was growing up. Talking about personal growth and development, we have to look at the way we were raised, and
Mhm.
I had to learn to acknowledge that that's how my mom and my dad or my siblings thought. But it's okay for me to not have that same opinion. It's okay for me to want something different. It's okay for me to want a different life or to do things differently than the way that I was raised. And for me, I kind of felt like I was betraying my past by being different. But I had to do it because it was very toxic. Like, you couldn't keep friendships. You keep choosing bad relationships because it was that thing, like, you don't leave. You don't leave. You stay with the person you're with, and that's toxic.
That's
That's
very
toxic.
tough.
That's
That
toxic.
is.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tools that you used far as to help you along the way with your personal growth, changing some things?
Well, first, I think my hardest thing, because, Jill, I was in therapy for 7 years.
Okay.
And I would say the first year was actually me just working on just having my own self esteem. And I never thought I was a person that didn't have self esteem. But the more that I listened to my therapist, I was like, I really don't. My self esteem resided in what other people thought about me. Like, if say a boyfriend, your husband, your siblings, your friends, I only thought I was as good as the people who loved me,
Mm.
and I didn't have any love for myself. Well, I didn't think that about myself. I was like, look at all these people who love me. And she says, but where is the love you have for you?
Mm.
And it
That's
was
deep.
like, oh, it was like, oh,
That's deep. Thank you,
yeah.
Vibrant. That's deep. I did as well. I was in therapy. Well, several things. I lost my sister, who was more like a mother to me. At a young age, I think I was like 19, 18, 19. So that was really, really rough. And that's really, and then of course, I love my mom down, but relationships are not always perfect. You know what I'm saying? And it was rocky, because of our personal experiences, and especially losing my sister. It was so, like, me, I felt like, oh, we need therapy, and of course my mom, like, I don't need anything. And so it was really, really toxic. Okay. So therapy is very important. And I felt like I always had to keep proving myself um, to my mom, like, different things and all that. That's why I felt like growth is amazing, especially when I had to come to realization that it's not you, is her. You know what I mean? And that hurts. It's really, really toxic. It can get toxic. You'd feel displacement, you know,
Yes.
and alone in so many rings of things. And it can leave you broken, but you're broken because no one eh, therapy is only going to help me, right? It's not going to help the family dynamic. So it was really, really rough. I tell you, it was rough. And it took until, whew, sheesh. I mean, what, my 30s to say, screw this? Okay.
Mhm.
Like, I'm tired. Like, I got children. I can't live like that. I need to see what I can do for them. Like, how can I better me? I had to pull it together. So I was in therapy at that time during it, but I stopped. Then I went back. But as my children started getting older, and you have to have this strong built, and you don't have time to stop to take care of you.
Yeah.
So you're continuing moving on until I had a break, a nervous break. I almost had a nervous breakdown, but it was really, really near there. And that's when I was like, let me go get help, because you got children, and you got all this other stuff on your plate that's lingering from youth, and the loss of your sister, and me not to want to go to other people and talk. um so yes, therapy is so important. It's very important.
Yes.
I think that's a great start, especially to really, really form that personal growth, and that's to get through the part to love on yourself. you know that self-love, you know what I'm saying? Stop being selfish to yourself. How you gonna love anybody else if you don't love you?
And that's where I was, Jill, when I started therapy. Is nobody had ever said in my life that you should be your own best friend. That was a very new concept. I was like, what do you mean be a friend to yourself? And she was like, yeah, that means having self-esteem. That means saying no, setting boundaries, spending time by yourself, accomplishing your goals, and not making sacrifices for only others. Also, saying, this is, I need to sacrifice for my mental health so I can be okay. Those are the things that I had to learn.
Yes, and I still find myself slipping from time to time. I always seem to put me last. I'm worrying about someone else's well-being, someone else's feelings, someone else's, are they okay? Someone else's heart health, someone else's and I find myself putting myself last all the time. And then when it comes to you, they're looking at you like, I don't give a fuck.
Child,
You know?
listen, Jill. This is something that a lot of people, they look at me like I'm crazy. I don't know if you know or others know who is here in this chat, but I'm the last of 10. I'm the 10th sibling. So
Oh wow,
when
okay.
when you come from that, people always make the assumption when you're the youngest, you're spoiled. Listen, Jill, from the time I was a little girl, I have been taking care of people's kids, and I, because I'm the last child, I was, I got the elderly parents. I didn't get the young, vibrant, like how my older siblings got, running around, taking them to the park. I have to be going to get medicine. I had to grow up faster than they did. And they don't understand that part. Like, I felt like I got robbed as a child. Like, you got the mom taking you to the picnic and let's go on an adventure and have fun. By the time my parents got to me, they were in their 60s and 70s.
Oh wow. See, I'm the baby of the children as well. I was spoiled. I was spoiled, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And like when I did get in my age of like 21, I was taking care of my niece, and she
Mm.
was 1 month. So I didn't get that whole joyous package. And then 4 years later, to where I could jump around and be like, hey, party free. So I still was dealing with, but you know what? They were a blessing. She was a blessing,
Mhm.
because like I said, I was still mourning my sister. So I didn't care to be honest, I didn't even care to live. I felt like I lost everything already. And child, I started drinking all the time, day in, day night. I didn't care about living. I didn't at that time. And then with me and my mom being combative at the time and all of this, and she had her plate full, because my sister had 3 children left behind.
Mhm.
Um, and it was a tragic depart, her husband killed her and killed himself.
Mm.
So that was really a traumatic. So it wasn't like, a normal loss. So that was really traumatic. It was really, really a trying time. And of course, my mom, I was still young, like I said, I was like 17, 18. And she's raising the children. It was just a hard time for us. And so when you need help, and that was the part, it was kind of like I knew I needed help. I went to reach out to help, but it's sad when other component parties don't feel that way. Everybody was dealing with they hurt differently. Like I can't judge them, but when it hurts everyone else,
Mm.
it's ugly. So I became numb for one, distant.
Mhm.
A whole lot of things was going on in my head. You know what I'm saying? And it was really tough. So I say yes, therapy is a must. Get the help. And then if those who don't want it, you have to cut them off. I don't care who they are, because that would destroy you.
listen,
Okay. And
listen,
break you down. And that is exactly what it was, because I kept making up excuses for other people behaviors.
Listen, Jill, I come from that. It was like, because I'm the last, it was like when you're the youngest, I don't think a lot of people understand that. But like, you have older brothers and sisters and stuff, you automatically, like, you don't get to make your own choices. It's like you're at home and people are dropping off their kids, and you're like, but I was gonna go hang out with friends. I was gonna go, and it,
Mm-hmm.
like, I had no life. As I don't feel like I ever got a childhood when I was younger, because it was like I was always taking care of everybody, taking care of my older parents. I have a special needs sister. I got my siblings' kids.
Right. You didn't have a time to be a child. Marlene? Uh-oh. I can't hear you. I think she froze up, y'all. I think Marlene froze up. But I understand that. You don't have time to be a child. And that is what I felt like as the baby. Quickly stepped into being the adult. You know, my oldest, it was always like, well, you know better. I'm like, ain't I'm the baby? Why am I getting all of this? And why they are so freely to make mistakes, and oh, how dare you make a mistake, right? It was rough. So I definitely understand Marlene's standpoint. It was like, oh, I didn't have a time or a chance to say, woe is me. I was treated as the adult. Hey, Marlene, welcome back.
Yeah. Um.
Y- you
What
were saying that, yeah, I said you didn't have a chance to be a child,
I
you know.
didn't, and the thing that I didn't like, Jill, about how it was back in the day, it was like, you're a child, like, oh, what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna go with? Why do you need friends? Like, you have your siblings. And that's one of the things that I had a lot of, anger, resentment. Like, never, like how kids go out and they play, they go to parties. I never had that life.
So you missed out on a lot.
Yeah, I never. So I think that's why when I got to be like, when I would turn 18, it was like, like I was going crazy.
Oh God. And that's the thing though. When you miss out, I'm so glad I didn't really get too crazy or wild, you know what I mean? But yeah, I get it. And I'm glad I didn't lose my way, because even when I was growing up, I didn't have that because I was the baby and all my siblings was older. So I was the baby. So they were already like teenagers and stuff by the time I came. So I was the last of the Mohegan, and I was spoiled, yes, but I was smothered. Like, I couldn't
Mm.
do anything. That was my thing. I'm so glad I didn't get let loose and lose my mind, because look, I didn't get a chance to party and stuff like that when I should have, or do the things of kids, because I was always, listen, my mom kept her eyes tight. Even though we went to all the amusement parks, we stayed on the road, we stayed on vacation, but it's nothing like doing those things with your friends without your mom and dad
Mhm.
hovering over you all the time. And that's what it was with me growing up. But
That was me too. I used to be so aggravated, Jill, that everywhere I went, my mom was like, "You got to go with your brother or your sister." I was like, "I don't want to go with them. I want to go by myself." And they're like, "That's your sister. That's your best friend." I said, "No, it's not. That's my sister." It's like,
right.
don't be telling them that's my best friend. I didn't say that. You say that. You know?
Oh, and
Yeah.
then you grow up feeling, you grow up with like resentment, right?
Mhm.
And this bad taste in your mouth, and it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not. But personal growth, the proud thing is look at where you are now, and
Yep.
still growing every day, understanding life more and more. And each time you grow, the better, the sweeter life gets, right?
Yeah.
Besides all the, listen, we got the everyday, yes, the ouches and the worry. Listen, that's life cycles. It's not going to be sweet and grand every day. But the more you get to know who you are, your personality grows, and it becomes brighter. So listening to your lives and stuff and thinking of the changes and how free you sound, you could hear the release, the excitement,
Yeah.
um and the road of uncertainty is not so gloomy, is it,
No,
anymore? See.
and that's the thing, Jill. Like when you first step out, into your own, like the first time I remember like going out by myself, because I, like you, Jill, was a person who was, I couldn't do anything. I was always watched. I had my parents, had my siblings, everybody. I couldn't make any moves on my own. So me, I had to learn that it was okay to have my own life, to go out, to do my own thing. And it took me until my 30s, Jill, before I felt comfortable enough to go and have a meal by myself.
Mm, I yeah, that's serious. And at 30, and see me, I'm still learning. Now I'm relearning, because see what happened was, all I know is my children after all of that. Hey, Ivy Pearl, welcome. And all I see now is I just poured myself, and just it was just me and my children, after that. And then now I'm learning how to love Jill again. Who is Jill? I'm learning who the heck is Jill right now. So my personal growth in my experiences that pulled me into this personal growth, it was a long time. And if you're not careful, and if you don't surround yourself with the right people, you will lose yourself. Okay? And you may never find you if you're not willing to take a chance on you.
Yeah,
That's
it's one of those things that like you have to learn how to be comfortable to walk your own beaten path. And for me, that was listening to that I wasn't who my parents or siblings or a romantic relationship. I'm not who other people see me. I'm myself, and I had to learn how to ask myself, who am I? What do I want? What am I trying to be? What is the legacy that I'm going to leave behind? Am I going to be a role model, or am I going to be somebody that people say after I'm gone, oh, don't be like her? And I didn't
right.
want to be that.
Absolutely. And that's what made me even more try to improve myself. I am not perfect. I am not the woe is me. I know I've made mistakes. I made mistakes with my children. I made mistakes with my family. Like, so I'm not putting the blame on just person, because we only can be as strong as we allow ourselves to be, and when you put a cap on things, you become weak, and so me, I just want to live life to the fullest right now. I want to put my children and family first, but after me, which I need to start saying that. I need to start doing things. My kids say it all the time, like, go out, do this, do that, and I do. So I'm still working on my personal growth. I still have a lot of areas, and I can't I'm not, I'm loving it, finding myself again. And it also comes with uncertainty, but I put my money on betting on me. Okay? I'm going to bet on me, and trust that I everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to trust that, each step of the way is not going to be easy. It's going to be a learning process. And I also have to stop saying I think one of your videos you were talking about how, us making excuses for other people behaviors and adjusting to appease them, not really appease them, but kind of making up excuses for certain the way people treat you, right?
Yeah,
And saying, "Oh, that's cuz they're going through something. That's cuz they this and that." That's no excuse.
yeah.
You can't attack others because of what you're going through, or because you're stressed out that you're going to attack me. And vice versa. I shouldn't do the same to anyone else. So it's a learning experience, and it takes time. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, what do you have? I'm going to close out in a little bit. What else do you have that you think that people can use as a tool to, you know, not even a tool, some tips and encouragement
Well,
for, yeah.
Well, my go-to is always positive self-talk. Most people don't talk about how important positive self-talk is because I had an amazing mentor. God rest her soul. I'm so grateful for Miss Catherine when she came in my life because she changed, like she grandmothered me, she mothered me, she sistered me, she friended me, she everything me that I in
Mm,
my life. And I'm grateful for that because she was the one that taught me that if you do not talk to yourself in a way, she's like, sometimes you got to tell yourself, self, it's time to go to bed. Self, it's time to kick yourself in the butt. It's time to get up, go run, go take your exercise. Self, it's time to go to school. Self, it's time to leave that job or leave this relationship. You have to have those conversations with yourself. But if you don't have your own relationship with yourself, you don't know when you are doing toxic things if you're not taking time to sit down and to reflect and be
absolutely.
still. And that's what she always told me. Every single week, you should sit down just with a journal in nature somewhere, go for a walk or a drive by yourself, and just think and ask yourself,
Yes.
how am I doing? Am I okay? Am I really okay? Or am I just pretending? And if there's something I need to work on, what is it that I can do to make me be better? And that has really changed the trajectory of my life, because I never would think I would be like, are you kidding? 10 years ago, me talk about giving motivation. No way.
Mm,
Yeah, there's no way. But if I didn't get introduced to therapy, I wouldn't have gotten introduced to an amazing mentor. And then I wouldn't be in a place to be on YouTube. Then I wouldn't be in a place to do coaching. So I feel like my life has been stepping up like elevator steps of elevation, all because of making the choice to say, I'm enough to do better. I'm enough
yes.
to make changes. I'm enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I agree 100%. Time heals, in steps, taking action, taking your control back is very important. Knowing that you are enough, that is very, very important. And stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for things that you can't change. All you can do is do better. You know what I mean? And stop putting yourself down. Either they gonna get over it or not. But you have to move on. And that's vice versa how we deal with things and people and places in life. And don't let someone guilt you into feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah.
That is a number one key for me. And I'm thankful and I have gotten better with that through therapy, because therapy and great friends. Okay. And I don't have many, but the friends that I do have, I am thankful for them. At least one of them, building me up like, look, you got to stop. You can't change anything. What happens is happen, action, a reaction. Whether you made a mistake, we are not perfect, and don't let nobody else bound you down with that. And that's something my that's I've worked on that for a while and still working on it, because sometimes you feel guilty, and it's like she was like, don't feel guilty for being human. Don't
Mhm.
feel guilty about trying your best. Don't feel guilty about doing what you felt was good and right at the need for you to survive, or whatever it is. All you can do is work on now. You can't look back then. Those things, you don't live there anymore.
Mhm. Well,
And go
one of
ahead.
the one of the things that my mentor always told me all the time, and it took me a long time, Jill, for it to like, you hear something repeatedly, but it's not that you don't believe it, but you have not made it as a part of your skill set. You've not fully absorbed it. And she used to tell me all the time that you have to forgive yourself. And I
Mhm.
used to think that I was like, of course I forgive myself. She says, no, you have to truly forgive yourself and not keep saying, I should have, I could have, and why
Right.
didn't you have to say, I did the best that I could at that time, with the knowledge, with the skills, with with everything. And I forgive myself, and I release it, and I give it back to God, because only He can handle it, not me.
Now that's a mouthful. Forgive yourself and release it and give it to
Yes.
God. Because that's the only way you're going to move forward. Because people will choose to hold you in that space for their own selfishness, too.
Hmm. And I had to learn that part too, Jill.
Hmm.
That took me another 2 years to get to this next point, when she told me that what somebody thinks of you is none of your business.
Amen. Now that I do. And that's a nugget, and that's something I work on. Yes, what somebody think of you is none of your business. Okay? It's not my business. That's their business, and that's their problem, and let them work it out. Okay?
Hmm.
That is what it was, and that's the bottom line to self-growth, of knowing, once again, like you said, that you are good enough, you are strong enough, and anything that is worth having, and that Christ approves of, and that is that is yours, is good enough. Okay? Don't look for other people approval. Okay? Don't think about the rest, because you're the best. That's what I say to myself. You're the best. I'm the best. I'm not better than you. I'm my best. Okay? Don't think about, if you feel like I'm better than you, that means that's what you feeling. That's how you feel about yourself. But I feel good though. You can't tell me I'm
Yes.
less than. You can't tell me I'm less than. Okay? And you have nothing that I want or
E-
desire.
exactly, Jill.
Because if it
And
was meant for me, God would make sure that I have it.
exactly, Jill. And that's one of the things that I think everybody has to at some point learn, that, self forgiveness, and also forgiving the people who hurt you and injured you in a major way in your life, and not allowing it to, get you angry and upset. When you release it, I tell myself out loud, I write it down. Even what has been so therapeutic to me is writing a letter to somebody, or writing the letter to myself, and I burn it. And while it's burning, I'm saying that everything you did to me, it's not going to hold weight on me. It's gone. I remove it. I burned it out of my life. It's gone, like
Yes.
it never happened. I don't know, seeing something that somebody did burn, I don't know, it does something for me. And that was so therapeutic for so much traumatic things that happened to me in my life. I had to literally let it burn in front of my eyes, so that I could say, okay, take a deep breath and now move on with your life.
I just did go deep, labor, just go into prayer. Okay.
Mhm.
I definitely go into prayer. I write it down, put it in the journal, and I think I keep those journals because it's a reminder of my strength, my resilience, my life lessons, my challenges, struggles, and I don't take it as um when I look back at those things that I have written, it encouraged me to keep pushing further and further ahead. Okay, because I don't live there no more, and to look back, I said, "Dag, that was me."
Mhm. You,
It's a laughter now. It tickles me because it's kind of like, dang, you was weak.
you know what? You know what I do? You know what I do, Jill? It's going to sound strange, but I am a person, I like to make audio recordings of myself. I have recordings of myself from years ago, like just talking about stuff. And I
Hmm.
can listen back to things from years ago and it's like, wow, I was like, "Oh, I was lame. Okay, I was being very controlling or I was jealousy." I can see my personal growth just how I talk about things and what at the time I let bother me, and now it's like it's now I've shifted from what other people did to me to now what am I doing and what is my purpose that God is leading me to. So it's a whole different life now.
Amen.
Yeah.
You see, Ivy Pearl said, reminders of the victories God has given you, your testimony of overcoming.
Yes.
And that's it. That's what it is. And anything, I guess, anything that is still burning in desire, I think that's another reason why I keep certain things, because if something triggers me when I look back, that means I'm not done working on it, right? And because sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. And I lived there for quite some time because I poured myself into everything, to just me, my children, me, work, children, me, work, children, me, work, children. That's what I did. That's how I got by. Me, work, children, me, work, children, me, work, children. And in you put yourself and you put the blocker that's putting up the walls. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you forgot, you lost yourself, you focused on everything else except for yourself. It's time I'm walking around, listen, like I said, not even mindful of myself, just because that's the workflow. And so you block that out, and you don't realize what you have overcame or still need to work on because you have set up this wall. You get
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And so you're boxed in, you see nothing else, you're not feeling anything else because you kind of buried that. You didn't work through it. So we sometimes, when you see people fall apart later on down the in a life cycle, where their trauma becomes their current, even though it was so long ago, because they put those walls up. You know what I mean?
That's
And you didn't heal it. You didn't let God help you work through it. You didn't go get the help that you needed for it. And then now all of a sudden, boom, it
mm-hmm.
just unleashes and you don't know how to. I've been there as well. So it is so important for personal growth. Serious, guys. It is important to tap in. Don't close doors and think that it's going to be forgotten, and it will resurface if you don't work it out and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Give it to God, and let it go. Because it will come back. And when it comes back like
With a vengeance.
with a vengeance that you will never believe in. Some people, I believe it or not, sometimes depending on what and how or what your stability is, and if you how built you are for whatever it is, that vengeance will take over and take you out. You hear me?
Hmm.
It will take you out. And some I see who never ever become the same again, if you know what I mean.
You,
They
you,
lose it
they do.
all.
And you know what, Jill? I remember something that one of my mentors, a different lady, was telling me, and she had come to the end of her life. She's like in her 80s. She said, I'm going to tell you something that it took me almost 80 years to get. And I said, "What? Like, I want to give me the wisdom. Spill the tea, lady." And and she was like, she said, "Don't just go through life, live your life." Because it's two different things. You could be running like a hamster, running on a wheel, and just same day, new day, same old thing. Or you can go about making your life, curating the life that you want, and then doing the things to make yourself happy, to make yourself have peace, to make your dreams come true, and not just be a person to be what society or friends or family want you to be, but you making a decision to say, this is my life, my choice.
Absolutely. And it will stop you from, because people look for brokenness. And once people see those pieces of brokenness and I don't care who they are, it could be family, they friends, whoever, okay? Family, whoever. And once they see things that they can dagger at you to break you, they will use that against you, it's not a good feeling. That's why it's best to heal, work through it, get the help, talk it out, give it to God, say what you need to say, leave it in prayer, so that they can't throw that at you. Some people likes to, whether they family or not, your own family does it just to use and abuse you, and use and throw up things. Well, I don't live there no more. And I'm sorry you live there. You need to get help.
You know what is funny, Jill, is when somebody says something to me about who I used to be formerly, whether it was an anger problem I had, or
Hmm.
jealousy, miscommunication, and I laughed and I said, "Oh, you're referring to 2016, Marlene. Okay. This is 2025, Marlene, just in case
That's
you
right.
don't know. Yeah, so if you're still vibrating there, I'm going to need for you to elevate because you're being very low vibrational."
Right, 20, right, 2016 or 20 20 2009. That
Yeah.
Jill don't live here anymore. This is 2025, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to shut it down and close it. And sometimes no response is good too. You know what I mean? Because you can't, and because people will use and try to open up doors and windows just to hurt you because they're feeling a kind of way, or I'm learning. Listen, I get stronger, and each time I'm taking more and more steps. Me walking is my release when I get stressed and when stuff on my mind. I'm walking. Go out and do that. Just get out, get some air, walk. Open up the Bible, start reading it. Okay, go out and or pick up the phone. Listen, I need an appointment. Okay, I need an appointment. Hey, room shaker, I need an appointment. I need to sit on the couch. I need to talk. Don't be ashamed. It's nothing to shame. Call your friend, that you could trust. And sometimes it's just silence. Go to sleep.
Yep. And I had to learn that too, Jill, is that you have to know what you personally need at the time. Don't let anybody tell
That-
you how you
That's
feel.
right.
If you need to rest, rest. If you need to go exercise, or you need a meal, or you need to, be by yourself, or you need your friends, you have to know yourself. And that is one of the things about uh, personal growth and development. Nobody can't tell you how you feel and what you're going through, because you're the one living in your skin. You're the one
Amen.
that, yeah. So don't let other people rule your life. And that is what I had to learn as a woman, because I think a lot of times women and men as well do not get trained how to be a woman, and that a woman is not just a person who has babies or is a wife, or vice versa. A man is not just a man who has a wife, or has a good job or things. You are defined by your personality, by how you treat people, by your good qualities and your talents, and what purpose God has inside of you.
Amen. That's the truth. Well, it's been a great hour and it has touched a lot of topics. And that branch off to many conversations.
Mhm.
And all I can say is self-love is number one. Knowing thy father or whomever you serve higher. Um, and knowing, as Marlene said, knowing that you are enough. And I just can't express that more than anything. Don't let somebody tell you who you are. Don't let somebody else tell you you ain't good enough. Don't let somebody else dig in your wounds and tell you that you ain't bleeding, right?
Mhm.
That they just loving on you, but they actually just peeling. That's why healing is so important because there's no more scabs. God done healed it all. There's no scabs to pick at because I am a walking testimony of where I am no longer. Okay. And so that's why it's not good to build walls and to close out things because then there's no scabs or wounds that people can peel back and be plucking at them while they're hugging you, saying, I love you, but they still plucking in this your mid, the things that they know is still vulnerable to
A
you,
trigger.
a trigger. And so that self-love and healing is the step. And it takes stay at it's not easy. It's not an easy process, but you have to work at it and you have to acknowledge. That's the first thing. You got to acknowledge there's a problem.
Mhm.
You have to acknowledge there is selfless going on here. There's like the care of nurturing yourself and knowing how to stand alone independent. When I say it's meaning that you shouldn't need other people to tell you that you're beautiful, that you are enough. You shouldn't need that from anybody else. You have to stand on that yourself because it'll be so easy for somebody to tear that away from you
Mhm.
if
And
you let somebody else tell you or build you up. Build yourself up, okay?
yep.
Stand on your own. Own it. Own it, live it, and move on. And like Marlene said, forgive yourself, forgive the people who hurt you, and give it to God and walk away with it. And if it's still, that means you got some working to do, whether it's therapeutic, whether it's sitting on somebody's couch or whatever it is that you need, just make sure you heal. We don't want no scabs, okay? You may have a mark left behind, but yeah, a mark just to know you've been there, right? I've been there before, but not. We don't want no scabs. We don't want to walk around with scabs. So
Yeah.
just know that it takes you to heal. So, do you have any closings for us, Marlene?
Yeah, of course, I of course want to say thank you so much for allowing me to come on your platform and to share with your viewers, your
Thank
chat
you.
family. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say to everybody, you are the one that has to make a choice to validate yourself, to love yourself, to heal, and to be your best self. You can't let the past, what other people did, the things that you did, you have to come to a space where you become accountable for yourself and also admit what you are allowing. A lot of times we are allowing people to hurt us and bring us pain, and we are the ones that have to say, we're sick and tired of it. I deserve better, and I'm going to do better.
Amen to that. Thank you so much for joining me, Marlene. I can't. We've been rocking for a minute. I can't remember where we met. Probably over at Geo's.
I
I
honestly
can't
don't know
remember.
where it was, but it may have been Geo's. I maybe.
I can't even remember, but I'm thankful that I have met you. I am thankful that you have embraced me with your presence on my platform. I am looking forward. So, whenever you're ready to do a collab over at Marlene, you guys stay tuned that we will collab over there so we can meet the. No, you don't call them. What do you call your people again?
My motivators family.
Yes, Motivators family. Um, I can't wait. This has been a blessing. I thank you so much for even, you know, coming through. This has been you always teaching and opening up doors to look in to ourselves, as well as looking at the outside with a bigger picture, and looking to grow and do better and live better, So I appreciate that. This was a great topic. I truly appreciate it.
Me as
So
well.
thank you so much for coming through. And I guess we will set up something in the future soon,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
So here is Marlene's. You can go over to our channel. This is her channel. The link to our channel again. I've been dropping it throughout the stream. Thank you to my moderator. Thank you, Vibrant, for dropping Marlene's YouTube channel in there as well. So go check her out. You could go see, she's amazing and you will learn. Definitely gonna get something from each live stream that she does. It's always positivity, uplifting, and a learning, inspirational experience over there at Marlene Motivates. I promise you that. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us for this hour and change. I appreciate y'all. I hope everyone got something from it. And this was a great collaboration. So, until the next time, as I always say, stay blessed and forget the rest that has no kind of, if it ain't uplifting and encouraging or, whatever it is. But listen, if it's negativity for your well being, leave it there, leave it behind and keep trucking. Okay. All right, Marlene. Well, you have a wonderful night. I appreciate you for being here again. And I will see you on these YT streets.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, moderators, for being in the building with me as well. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. I appreciate y'all for being here. I look forward to more hot topics and different life changing topics. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Have a blessed one.